number 10. We have a special guest with us today. As you know, we didn't have an episode last week, so this is episode 10. I have with me here my partner at Ministry of Marketing.Asia, Adelina Adna, who is the Chief Creative Officer. And of course, Awesomebility is a collaboration between Ministry of Marketing.Asia and also Popcorn. We have Yandaro Al-Amin here from Popcorn, who is the founder and CEO of Popcorn. And I know that one screen that is next to me, I think, right now, I don't think so that she needs introduction. We have Puan Sarimah today as our guest.
Hello.
Yay! Hi,
Hello.
hi Sarimah. How are you?
Hi,
I'm
I'm good. I'm hungry.
You're hungry? I am too, to be
Same.
honest. All right.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll speak a little bit about Awesomebility, Ministry of Marketing, and Amin will be speaking about Popcorn, and we will be handing the mic over to Sarimah as she speaks about what is exciting right now. As you can see, the topic for today is impactful advocacy through personal branding. What Ministry of Marketing.Asia is about, we are about social impact strategy, social impact marketing, social impact initiative. So if you would like to know more, all you need to do is get into our website. We are Ministry of Marketing.Asia on all social media platforms, including our website. All right. So now passing it over to Amin to speak a little bit about Popcorn. Over to you, Amin.
Hello, welcome, guys. Thank you for being here. If you're watching us live right now, give us some love, give us some like in the comment section. And thank you for being here. I am excited today, guys. I'm super excited because why? I have like my idol next to us right now. I've been following her career since I was like super young. Back then, I was in college at the time. Like, what was it? Channel V last time?
Oh my God, I did everything.
You did everything, right?
Channel too.
Hosting, acting. You've done the whole entire.
How young
stuff.
are you? It depends.
We are about the same age, though. We are about the same age.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
we are. Right.
Thought you'd be younger than me.
I think I'm older. Possible.
Really? Oh.
Yes.
I'm the youngest. I'm 18.
Oh, yeah. Like that? I'm
Yo.
15 like that.
Yeah. So today, okay, just want to do like a brief introduction of Popcorn. Popcorn stands for popular content because I don't want to take the limelight from Sarimah today. So what do we do in Popcorn? We basically help. We basically help entrepreneurs to basically build their brand on LinkedIn, and that's why we are here today. Today we're going to learn a lot more about branding, about brand advocacy from Sarimah, and I'm excited. Okay, I'm a fan. I'm like having this giggly fan moment right now. So yeah, I have a lot of questions for you, Sarimah. So be careful.
Oh my God. Okay.
Lots of
Just a
stuff to
little
answer
bit
today.
of pressure, but that's okay. Let's do it.
Okay.
I love questions because if people don't ask me questions, then I look like I'm short sneery just talking to myself, you know? It's not very nice.
Okay, Adelina, pass it to you.
Wow. Yeah, so similar to I mean, I have I think the first time that I saw you, Sarima, was in the Disney Channel. So my brother loved watching the Disney Channel at the time. So that's when
That's a long time.
a long time ago. I don't know if that gives away age, but or anything,
Kind of.
but yes.
Yeah,
So
that
it
was
was-
that was in 1998. Yeah,
yeah.
1998. I was signed up to the Disney Channel Hong Kong at the time, which was based here.
Mm.
Yeah, and it was one of the first channels on Astro because Astro didn't have many channels, can remember back then?
Yeah.
So the Disney Channel was one of them back then, and they had the Hallmark Channel and whatnot. Yeah.
Yes. So way back. So you've been around for a very long time in the industry, and you've evolved so much. Also, you from there you've gone into singing, you've gone into more hosting, being a DJ, VJ, everything,
Yeah,
radio, TV.
the hardest one was the DJ, the announcer, actually, the breakfast mornings at 5 a.m. That was probably the
Yes.
hardest time ever, to be honest with you. Yeah,
Yeah, because you have to wake up before everybody wakes up, basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
And just so you know, before we continue this talk, my lighting's got an issue. It keeps going on and off. It's like the room has another presence. There you go. Yeah. Okay, so there's like a feedback here. I'm just wondering, is that
Yeah. I'm also hearing the feedback. So I'm not sure where that is coming from, but maybe
see,
someone's
and my
watching
lights keep
LinkedIn.
going on and off.
I'm
Da, da,
muted, by the way. So it's not
da.
Nia. I'm muted.
Oh my goodness! How did you do it? Let's
It's
just check.
okay.
That's so
There we
scary.
go.
Okay, are we
There we
okay now?
go.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
So you've done all of that, and then now you're doing a lot of advocacy. I know that you were the former patron for MIASA, so that's about mental health, and you talk a lot about mental health, right? You're very passionate about that cause, and through that evolution of being a TV host and DJ and singer, and all of those different um, the different, I guess, the different layers of Sarima. Right?
Right.
So how did you start off with using your platform and your personal brand to bring in what your cause is?
Okay. Well, I think what happened was, I mean, Nini knows this because, like, during the lockdown, everyone was sort of shut off from the world. And prior to the lockdown, 2019, I just had my daughter. And when I had my daughter, I went through quite a very challenging mental health time. I had really bad postnatal depression. That was in 2019. So it was very shortly after that we all went into lockdown. So it was kind of like good timing. I mean, bad, of course, not an easy thing to go through, a challenge. But life always throws you challenges, and then you come out of it stronger, hopefully. But we went into lockdown, and then Clubhouse just hit it off, and everyone was going online, and nobody was going for shoots. So all the shows and stuff that I was supposed to do, Adelina, Nini, and I mean, were sort of canceled, and then everyone went to audio. So I went into Clubhouse as really active with Momentum, and doing a lot of Zoom talks. And I was asked to be the patron of MIASA for that year because I'd already worked with them and shared a lot on psychoeducation, which is what I studied before I even went through my postnatal depression. So when the lockdown happened, I did about almost, I think it was like 170 or something ridiculous, like 100 and something Zoom talks for people personally and corporate companies and women's associations and NGOs. I even came out with a song called Harapan, which was about mental health for one of the NGOs. And it really became my branding shifted big time, I could say to you, Adelina, there during that lockdown period, because I was able to share very intimately what I'd gone through as a human being, not just as a celebrity, which everyone had seen me as before that, during that 2 year lockdown period. So it allowed me the opportunity to expand on my branding, actually. So even though it was a horrible time for many, including myself, I managed to find a way somehow, and I'm sure you're going to ask me more about this. That's what you guys are talking about today. I found a way to expand on my brand that would keep me relevant, keep me sane, give me a challenge, and offer unique opportunities for me where I could actually indulge in my passion, which is psychology, but also help people and obviously help myself in the process. And that has translated quite nicely till today, even though we're out of lockdown, because everything I do now has an element of advocacy work attached to it, even when I do entertainment shows.
Nice, nice. And I think, Sarima, just to expand from there, I think many people do not know this, right? So I know this because I was working with you from behind the scene, right? This is done strategically and purposefully, I feel, because you are a certified in what you are advocating for. You are
Yes,
certified. You took your
yes, of course.
certification, your professional
Yes.
certification, right?
I did that during
And
the lockdown.
yes, and that was purposeful, and that helped you in your brand expansion. That
Yes.
helped you as your celebrity and advocate branding as well to
Exactly.
solidify that, right?
Yes. Yes.
So what triggered, or what when was the tipping point that you feel, maybe your personal experience in your mental health
Yeah.
issue in 2019, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that. But how did you make a decision? Okay, I think I need to be purposeful about this, I need to be strategic
Mm.
about this, and this is how I'm going to build my personal brand and expand my brand.
Right. Thanks, Nini. Well, the reason why I decided to actually get qualified as a coach, a transformational coach, was because a lot of people do a lot of talking and a lot of people have shared a lot of experiences. But I think the one thing that always stands out is always action speaking louder than words. So, purposefulness comes with the intent. And my intent was to educate myself first and foremost. I'm in my 40s, I've become a mother, but I'm very passionate about entertaining still. I want to do my own talk show once again. I still enjoy emceeing, which I do every weekend almost. I'm very grateful. But purposeful intent for me was to make sure that I could stand out and say, I'm not just a celebrity who is sharing her experience, but I've also got the education to back that up. The education being in psychology and through my own personal therapy that I've been doing for 12 years now. That's a lot of work. You know what I mean? It's a lot of work, like you said, Nini, that goes unseen. And then doing the course, I've done several courses, in fact, related to trauma therapy and psychoeducation and coaching. And I don't really share those things because as a celebrity where your brand is, and you know what people want to see of you. And that's what brings me into another reason. So what I did was plan for the future initially. I was thinking, like, if we do make it out of this lockdown, what's the next stage for me in my career? I was the Disney Channel host. I've done everything. I've done talk shows. I've done it in Bahasa. I've done AJLs. I've done movies and everything. So I was like, well, I want to live here. Malaysia is my home. So what can I give back? And I don't want to just do only charity. I want to be able to be active, purposeful in that sense. And the only way I could do that was to make sure I had something to back it up. So I've got a library here on my left of books you can't see, but that's why I did it, Nini. I wanted to be able to stand up and say, I know what I'm saying, and I'm not just sharing, I'm actually edutaining. That's the word that I like to use.
Mm.
Um, and I think at a certain age in your life as a performer, um, you have to think about, your shelf life. It's true, and but then you look at people like in other countries. If you look to Europe and the US, I mean, look at, for example, Sir Patrick Stewart. I'll just give you an example. Very, very well-known actor, very highly educated, and he's continued to pursue his career. And that's what Michelle Yeoh and whatnot. And these people have done. I mean, they've done their career for so long. Basically, I say, because it's an action, and I want to be able to have that longevity, but with
Mm-hmm,
reliability.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Nice
Okay.
one.
Okay.
I mean, I know that you are going through a fangirl moment there, so you can
Okay.
stop gasping and ask your question.
Okay. Actually, I do have a question because I think I don't know if you've heard this story before. So they did an interview with Charlize Theron, and she basically kind of like was saying that she was invited to come in to act in Wonder Woman, but not as Wonder Woman, but as a mother for Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah,
And she was like, "What?" You know.
yeah.
But I think this is kind of like the question that I wanted to ask with you. Right?
Hmm.
You have evolved definitely you have evolved. I remember you from the day you started all the way until where you are today. I'm assuming that's not going to be easy for you to adapt to all of the
Mm,
changes, right? So,
yeah,
if you
exactly.
were to look back into your career and go back to the time when you started, if there's any advice that you could give to the young Sarimah Ibrahim about all of this conversation, what would that be for you?
Oh my God. Mm. Okay. Well, when I started off performing, I was a
Mhm.
student at the time and I was doing three jobs at the same time. I didn't come from a rich family or anything. Um, so initially, I was driven by fear. Fear can be very, very activating. When you need to make some money, that can be a great motivator for many people. But fear can also crush you. Um, it can crush your true self, like your inner self. So I'd probably go back and say to the younger me, like, don't be cynical. Try not to be. There's going to be a lot of weird situations you're going to experience in your career. People are going to be dodgy. There's going to be, black and white, good and bad people, and all the in betweens. And you're going to have terrible moments and great moments. I just wish I could have enjoyed those great moments more. But because I was in fear-driven mode, you know what I'm saying here. When
Yeah.
you're always afraid where the next paycheck is going to come from. I couldn't really enjoy the moments. So if you ask me now, and I look back on like 25 years, excuse me, I there are moments that are blank for me because it's like I was on stage so much. At one point, I was doing like three MC jobs a day, I think in 2001. Um, and because I was so like worried, like how long will this last? How long will this last? Will I be able to pay my bills? Because I was very independent and I left home and I was by myself since 18 basically. Um, I couldn't enjoy those moments. So when I was on doing Biggest Loser Asia, I was just like, oh my God, when is this going to end? When I was doing Disney Channel, I was like, when am I ever going to, what's going to happen after this? When I was shooting movies, I was like, oh no, they're going to see I'm not good enough. So there was a lot of self doubt. And it's like, oh no, now I'm like, why? If only, I'd had the confidence in myself that other people had in me, you know? So
Mhm.
I'd say to the younger me, it's really scary, but don't lose who you really are in the process and try to be somebody for everyone else. Like try to people please and squash your real personality to fit a certain image. Because I'm much more comfortable being me now. But oh my God, it's taken so long and I've done thousands of things since then. But that's hindsight, isn't it? That's the gift of hindsight and the gift of reflection.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably go back and say, you're okay, Sarima. It's all right. People are saying that, you're a bit chubby, you're never going to make it. You got to behave this way. You got to tone yourself down. You can't go on stage and say this and say that. And I did fight through a lot of those barriers. And, there was, oh my God, there was everything. I've
Mm-hmm.
experienced so many things at work, like from sexual harassment to like, oh God, so many situations. And I pulled through them all. But I use
Mm-hmm.
the word pull through because it was really hard. Um, but I would probably say to the younger me, like, it's okay. It's scary, but just you're on the right path and just keep going. Because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the moments enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
That's a good advice, isn't it?
Yep.
Enjoy
You
the
know,
moment.
Nice one.
like who gets to go on stage, for example, in a stadium, live on TV to like 7 million people doing AJL and like talk to 7 million people in a lifetime. You don't get that very often in a human's life. And I had that like not once, not twice, but three times. But all three times I was freaking out in my own head. You know what I mean? So I wish that I just been like able to stand there and do that Hollywood thing, where they stand there and they go, "This is my moment." and just relax into it more.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember the AJL though. It's the one with Misha Omar is the winner, right?
Yes,
It's
that's
Misha
the
Omar
one
is Anwar's winner. Right? That's okay.
now.
Yeah, that's one of
Yeah,
it.
Wow,
that was
So,
Amin.
hey,
okay.
I
You
follow.
do know.
Okay, I do know. Okay.
I'm
Quick
scared.
question. A
Bye.
follow-up question on this. Follow-up question. How do you
I,
cope with the changes? I think this is something that I wanted to know as well. Because, yeah, I mean, hosting and then after that singing, I mean, it's like a totally different career, a different shift in terms of the brand itself. And then from there, going into what you're doing now, how do you cope with all of that?
It's a bit like a breakup.
Mm.
Um, you kind of have to let go of certain things and be like, cry about it and say, that's sad. Well, I'm not the same person anymore. You know, and with life, it's nothing to do with status. People always say, oh, it's because of your status now, you're chick one, so you're not taking the same roles or you're not behaving the same. And I'm like, no, man, that's not it at all. The reason why I'm changed is because I'm older. I went through a lot of hell, like a lot of people have, and I've grown enough to realize and calm down, actually, to be honest. Um,
Mhm,
but there's a grieving process. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm,
there's changes every day. And it's funny you asked me this because I think it was just yesterday or the day before, I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, Sarima, you're changing now. And I was like, I'm sad about that. But then there's also a part of me that goes, well, that's okay. Your fan base and the people around you are changing too. And that is life. That's the circle of life. And then the question then is, now what are you going to do about it?
mhm,
So
mhm,
that's why I continue. Like even in the entertainment shows I'm doing now on Astro, people say, why did you take the show that's after the main concert? That's a question I'm getting a lot lately. Like it's like Charlize Theron being asked to be the mother in Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah.
So why are you taking the show that's at 11:30 at night and not taking the main show anymore? And I'm like, why are you using the word anymore? That's just for now. Like I have many things in the back of my head coming up. This is my
mhm,
reintroduction back into the entertainment industry as a mummy. And
mhm,
so it's like, when you start something, when you first start and you kind of put your feet in the water and you go, oh, okay, I think, I can do this still. So somebody wrote on Instagram and said, ni Sarima dia tengah panaskan engine dia je sekarang ni, which is exactly what I'm doing right now.
mhm,
I've changed I've not, I don't know if you can call it upgrade, but I've refurbished my car. I got in shape, mentally and physically, and I'm ready to go, but within limits. Like I'm not
mhm,
going to push myself the way I did before to the point of burnout. So doing a show for half an hour, which still gets more than 500,000 viewers, where I can ask really deep questions to the contestants like Shilamza and Jacqueline Victor and ask Shilamza about her anxiety condition. This happened to fall on my lap. So I'm very fortunate that I can do that now.
mhm, mhm,
So I'm okay with that.
mhm,
Other people have their moments to shine. I've had many moments to shine, and hopefully I'll have many more, but maybe in a slightly different context.
mhm,
Hmm.
mhm.
Good stuff, man. Just want to highlight something. Zuleika said this. We advise Sarima sometimes we doubt ourselves and be so overwhelmed. We should enjoy the moment and trust the process. Good stuff there.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
It's so
Nice.
easy to say that, right? Everybody always says that, don't they? They always say, like, trust the process. And you're like, but what is the process? And
Mhm.
sometimes I realized throughout the years now, the process can actually even be silence. It's so
Mhm,
weird.
mhm,
Like, silence is a process. I'm like, what? Because we
mhm,
rush to fill it.
mhm,
But
Yeah.
mhm,
but that silence can give room for people to reveal themselves. Like, if you observe more in silence, you can see more clearly your surroundings and make a purposeful judgment and movement from that. But when I was doing what I did in my youth, like many entertainers, You're just chasing the moment. You're never
Mm-hmm.
present. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what the process is at the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It reminded me, Sarima, about what Robert De Niro said. So Robert De Niro is one of those Hollywood actors, right? Who speaks up a lot about mindfulness,
Yes.
and he said this. His advice to young and budding actors, right, is to just stay calm, stay humble, stay grounded, be patient, right? Stay humble with, nothing too extravagant, nothing too over the top, right? Stay
Yeah,
humble. It's about the stamina, right, in the
it
industry.
is.
It
That's
is
right.
about the stamina in the industry. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what you've just said reminded me of what Robert De Niro said.
Yeah, it's a marathon. you
Mm-hmm.
know in fact, many careers are marathons. So in any marathon, you have two goals, right? You're either going to try and win it, or three goals: win it, be placed, or just finish it, right? These are the only three options you have, right? So I think that goes the same for, like, for careers, and as an entertainer, it's the same. But often the goal is to win it. So you want to be the best on stage, you want to win the awards, you want to win the accolades, and you want to get the best roles. Um, but once you've done that, just like an athlete, uh, once you've won it so many times, then you want to be placed. So you still want people to respect you and give you your position, and honor you. Like Robert De Niro, for example, he's been awarded so many times, it's probably ridiculous now. What can you give him? What's left, right? But he's finishing his race and he's paced himself. So whenever he does a role, you go, that's that's how you do it. That's Robert De Niro, right? You know what I mean? So that's my goal, at the moment. It's to continue on doing what I do, but to make impact. So whatever jobs I do, like for example, I'm going to be hosting, Festival Film Malaysia is coming up December 2nd, and I'm hosting it live.
Mm.
And there's Anugerah Icon Sukan in January, and I'm hosting that live.
Mm.
So these are very big impact events, with huge viewership. And that's what I like to do. I like to come into things and say, "Hi, I'm still here. Here's what I got to do. Here's how I entertain you," and leave the building. That's my kind of thing now, so that I can, Nini, sustain. Because the stamina I have now is not just for me, it's also for my family and my daughter. So the best thing I figured out for me is to not sit on set all days doing TV dramas and movies where I'm away from my family and I'm burning out for 18-hour days, but it is to go in, do my job, and get out. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
do now. Yeah. So I
Nice.
have to pick and choose, but I do like to pick the high impact things.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Mm-hmm.
something yeah, it's something I'm happy to share with you guys, because people say, "But you're not doing a lot of things, but you do big things. Why? Why don't you do movies? Why don't you do TV series? We want to see you every night, on TV." And I'm like, no, no, no. I don't want to see me every night. I I don't want face in this hair every night. I want to just, like, look, in my t-shirt, and just, go for a walk and go to the gym, and that's what I do, and just, put my spot cream on and just be human me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's very humbling, the process,
Mm-hmm.
of pacing.
I do want to ask Adelina. Adelina, you want to ask your question? Because I know that my next question that is, I am put out something that I want to ask Sarima on screen, tapi it's very long question. So I think you better ask first lah, Adelina.
Oh my goodness. Buy
So I
water.
was like drinking
Lemon.
water, bracing for Nini's question.
Terus Sarima minum air.
Forward sound right there on radio.
Okay, but so my
Yeah.
question, my question is, because you mentioned that you're going for all these big impact jobs, right? Bigger reach, and all this. So what I'd like to ask is, how do you tie that in with the work that you're doing, as in like your the advocacy work that you're doing? And how is that reflecting on your personal brand?
Well, you see, these are the high impact, the visuals that you see of me. So if we're just talking in terms of brand, so the visual is there. This is what Sarima looks like now. This is how she sounds. She's slightly toned down, but she's doing these big impact shows. So there's something to offer still. So let's look at this. She speaks dual languages. I can speak to the makcik because I have my own makciks. I come from kampong life and I also come from Irish life. So it's cool. Okay, so this is the brand, what people will see of the brand. Okay, so there's the group of people that go, oh my God, it's Sarima, I remember her. Then there's a group of people that are serving me in Starbucks yesterday are going, awak kakak yang dekat show Vice tu kan, Sarima kan? Completely new audience. Okay, so I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Um, and then what I'm doing on the side then is I'm making sure that my scripts and the things I say have some connection to the advocacy work that I do. Like in any show that I do, I will bring up mental health. I will talk to my co-hosts or the contestants or somebody somehow in that show, and I will raise the awareness through that platform. Because why wouldn't I? It'd be stupid not to. At the same time, people are hiring me to see the glamorous image for their corporate events, etc., etc. And at the same time, they are then hiring me to do training and give talks, and because it offers, it's what we talked about earlier. It's the reliability, but people still want an excitement. They want to see the brand, the glamorous. Oh, she was on TV last week, and now we have her at our company event. And that gives me a lot of power, to be honest with you, because when I say power, I mean the platform is the power, where I can then share issues like sexual health, domestic violence issues, self-care, trauma issues, and tips for employers when it comes to taking care of their staff, the health, the ecosystem at work, etc., etc. So the whole thing is tying in, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It works itself out somehow, and I don't know where it's going to go from here on. I have like a vision, and it's slowly unraveling. Doing these high impact jobs allows for that glam and allows the brand to still exist as the Sarima that people know, but it also introduces me to a new audience that I can educate as well. Um, and I'm really happy. And I think it somehow is working. Touch wood. you know?
Mhm.
The only challenge that I'm having, if you really want to know, is there is a connection to my past that people can't let go of.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
that makes any sense. It's
Mhm.
like I'll do a show, for example, and they will want me to be 22 again. You know? Like, so I'll go to an event, and it's almost like if I'm quiet, people are like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Mhm.
And then because the expectation of the brand is as such. I guess it's like how when Jim Carrey changed his life and people would meet him and they were like, "Oh my God, what's happened to Jim Carrey? He's become like some crazy guy." But maybe that's who Jim was all this while.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
So the challenge there is for me to reintroduce myself to an audience that is both an old audience and a new audience.
Mhm. Mhm. And there's so much more substance, right, to who you
Yes.
are right now. You've
And
grown, you've changed. You spoke about it just now.
that's the difficulty, Nini, because not everybody wants substance when they think about the word entertainment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They want to break free from substance. They want to entertain. So
Right.
I was like the queen of that. I know exactly how to do that. That is a role. I can get up there
Mm.
and be like, "Yeah, kita party sekarang. Mana abang kan?" Kurang kenapa ni eh? I can do that. I can, be like in a room and like bring that energy of like where people can't even get the space to think about their problems. Can.
Yeah.
But the issue with that now is I don't want to do that anymore.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's like, so I'm finding a middle ground, quite tricky, between being that Kak Mah Gali character or that Sarimah Disney Channel and me today. So I'm trying to like find a middle ground. So, people lean towards familiarity. So I give them the familiar, and then in between tu I selit lah, I masuk lah benda-benda yang baru. Ah, you know?
But
So
you
it's
you
like,
brought it.
hello,
You brought.
kakak rasa mana? So,
I think you brought in something that's really, really, really powerful today, which I've never seen it until you brought it up. Rather than just talking about your personality and building your brand based on your personality, you bring in a new element into it, which is what kind of value or cause that I will fight for when it comes to my own brand. Which is, I never thought about it from that angle. Then, because whenever we talk about brand personality, it's always about your personality. You're a cheerful person, and I want to hire this person because this person's like this, like this. But
yes.
with you today, you brought in that mental health aspect, the maturity into it. That's my value now, which is I think is really, really powerful. What do you think about that? Yeah.
Well, it can be very powerful, but it can also be very scary for people.
Mm.
Yeah, because people can be turned off by it too. And that is the challenge. Because, like I said, not everybody wants substance. A lot of people just want frivolous sort of superficiality. And that's what our social media, unfortunately, basically thrives on. So sometimes you will even look at substance that's actually superficial. Do you know what I mean? It looks like it's substance, but actually it's not. Oh no! What with marketing, I mean, it is what it is. We're attracted to primary colors, we're attracted to attractive things, and we're attracted to the things that make us feel big and important. We all get that. But where does it go after that? Like, where do you take your brand after that, and how much can you sell of perfection before it looks so flawed? You know what I
That's a
mean?
huge
There is a
question.
limit. We're I think as a society, because we're so goal oriented rather than feeling oriented, we are just trying to sell that idea of I've got it, I know what I'm doing, I am 100% purposeful, and my brand, my company is the bomb, and then it crashes because there's no such thing. So that is why mental health is so important, because I've been there. I've seen my brand crash to the ground before my own eyes after I gave birth. And I actually said to myself, I will never be able to perform again because that person is dead now. That's how horrible it was, the experience. So when I rebuilt and sort of came out of that mental health cloud, I gained not only myself back, but the fear was gone then. The fear of not being good enough. Because when you've hit rock bottom, or your brand is crashed, or you've lost everything and your company's shut down and you have to rebuild again, you only come in with lessons and more knowledge, right?
Yeah. You're not starting from scratch. You've got all
Yeah,
of
you're not
that.
going to rebuild and do the same thing again. So, I mean, hopefully for all of us, we rebuild with that knowledge and that strength, and it will not crash again. That's what we hope for. So that's why it comes back down to the word you used, Nini, with the purposefulness, I believe very much. And like you both are mentioning, I mean, Adelina, it's about having, it's forward thinking and bringing something else to a brand other than just what you see.
Yeah. I guess what I'm hearing from you, Sarima, is that it's a choice that you made, right? It's a choice that you made. Who would I like to give, right? What part of me that I would like to give, and then be intentional with the mechanics of contribution, right?
Yeah.
That is what I am hearing from you.
Yes.
So I think your answers, right, Sarima, is from Adelina's question as well as Amin's question. It's a great bridge to what I want to ask you. That
Great.
I followed
Thank
your
you.
story even before I know you, right? I followed your story before I even know you. I know that you've always spoken up about your weight issue, long time ago, how you go through, at that time, how you actually be upfront about your feeling about it, right? And then
Yeah.
as we got into momentum work, you spoke about your postnatal depression. How I am seeing it, right? How people say that when you are doing advocacy work, and you said it just now in the beginning of the show also, how you are championing a cause. Most of the time, the communication, messaging, your brand identity will be more powerful if you've gone through it, based on your
Yes.
personal experience. And that's pain, right? That's pain.
It's
And
pain.
that's pain. And if you use that pain purposefully again, right?
Mm.
It can be a powerful tool. Really, we've seen so many people use it, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
really, my question to you is whether that was intentional, right? Did you go through, did you reflect back all those pain that you went through since you first started being in the entertainment industry, or just as you are rebuilding, getting to know yourself again, after 2019, your postnatal depression, being purposeful about building your credentials, all that. How did you use that pain to build your current personal brand from dulu-dulu? Maybe it could have been subconscious last time. Now it is more conscious to you.
Mm.
And how impactful has it been to your personal brand right now, championing the cause that you are championing right now, which is mental health?
Mm. Um, is it intentional? Yes and no, because we're humans, so we're driven. It's a cognitive thing, but it's also an emotional thing. So, like emotionally, as I recovered and became, you could use the word stronger. I would say more aware. Of what to do, what not to do to prevent myself from burning out, what jobs to take, what kind of people to surround myself with, how to pace myself, as you mentioned, in this marathon of a career that I've put myself into. After going through what I went through, it was both like it was simultaneous. I said, okay, these are the things I'm going to do from now on for my brand, and these are the things I'm not going to do. So I'm going to take these kind of jobs and not these kind of jobs. And there have been some opportunities recently that have come my way where I could have taken many things on and many roles. The money's there, the fame's there, and the younger me would have just grasped it all. The one just before the me just before I gave birth would have still said yes, 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 let's do it. Um, but the me now goes, what does this offer? And there have been some opportunities recently that have come a bit of a feedback way where I
There's
could
feedback, guys. There's feedback. I muted, huh?
somebody's mic maybe. Is it me? Oh no, of course not. Okay. So so it was both a conscious thing and a non-conscious thing, I would say, because I'm driven by the need and the want to share and entertain, but at the same time I'm very much aware of what happened and how if I take too much on, my brand will ultimately crash. So, and like I said earlier, I don't want to present the same me to the audience, both old and new. I would like to give them an updated version of me. And I think every day when we wake up, that is what we all, we strive to do. We don't want to give the old, we want to give the current. And I feel like my followers, hopefully, and the people who've been my fans and the clients and the new fans will be able to accept this version of me. But I can only hope for that, and ensure that the choices I make are more in line with who I am. So basically, Nini, it comes down to being more true to yourself. And because myself is my brand, and that's the hard thing about being a celebrity, because you're both existing in the same realm. Your brand is you and you are your brand. There's a very fine line when I come home at night after hosting a big show at 1 a.m., where I actually have to change my brain, I would say, and calm down and order some room service and get back in touch with myself as me. There's a whole process to it. I mean, Hollywood stars will come back and probably party on till the end of God knows, or some people unfortunately have a lot of loneliness and they have to fill it with substances. Um, there is a process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just don't
Mm-hmm.
want that process to be too big anymore, because it used to be too extreme.
Wow. Deep
You
stuff,
know?
guys. Today is all
Yeah,
deep
there's
stuff.
a lot there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it also at the same time emphasizes what we spoke about in previous episodes about being
Mm.
authentic to yourself. So if you're growing, then your personal brand is also growing with you. It evolves.
Mm.
And just like what Sarima has said, right? You started out Disney Channel and doing movies and all these other things, and as a celebrity, you are also your brand, right?
Mm.
And all of that, everything that you do adds more value to the brand because you're bringing new experiences, you're bringing new wisdom, new knowledge and skills into it also to continue to build. And then now you're
Yeah.
at a point where you're also infusing things that you're passionate about in terms of advocacy, what you
Yes.
went through, and also sharing that with the people. And I think that's a very powerful message in saying that your brand grows with you. So
It
you don't
does.
have 22-year-old Sarima now.
Well, you have the power. Basically, we all have the power to, you can dismantle your brand and,
Mm-hmm.
rebuild it at any point in time, at any point that you wish to do, ultimately, in any manner that you wish to do. And, a big part of me was dismantling my brand mentally and physically and rebuilding it physically and mentally, because physical health is another huge part of my brand.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Fitness, and I really live it, like from doing martial arts for 9 years of my life to I've been doing Pilates for 15 years, and I really live it. You know what I mean? And that's a huge part of my branding too. And that helped me get through a lot. And it keeps my brand in shape. It keeps me motivated. And you know, um, I could also burn out with it too. So it's a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? Anything you do, be it plastic surgery or get into the wrong relationship or choose the wrong job or have a sign up to do a job where it's a disaster and people are out to sabotage you. You never know. Things build
Mm.
you up, and things pull you apart. But it's up to you how you use it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
In that process of rebuilding your brand, like I mentioned earlier, it's still your choice, and that's what we mentioned here in this talk today. Ultimately, you have the power. You
Mm-hmm.
can do what you want with your own branding, but
Mhm.
you've got to pace yourself. I very much agree with that sentiment. And you've got to know your strengths and your weaknesses and embrace both. There's a lot of people right now that have come into the entertainment industry, and I noticed because of that drive for perfection and winning and winning and winning, they're hiding their authenticity, and they're hiding their difficulties. And I understand that. I just believe that it's setting yourself up for failure when you do that as a brand. Because if you don't
Mm.
share the entire journey and the whole process somehow, like I said, you're going to burn out, and the brand will ultimately not be able to sustain itself.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Mm-hmm.
follow up question to that.
Hmm.
You've been in the industry, and I think you know this, that it's not easy to be authentic because
Hmm.
there's also a certain amount of expectation, there's also a certain amount of pressure that's been put to you, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you have to be this a certain way for you
Hmm.
to go out there. So, your advice to people who are going through this, what would that be?
I think it's about finding the niche as well for your own brand. Like, so if you have that purposeful intent, like, okay, I want to be the, I want to be a TV host, and I want to like make it big and get onto international shows. So you got to kind of work backwards. It's just the way it goes. And you've got to do enough research and get yourself within the circles and really be out there and apply, apply, apply. And when I say apply, means not just physically like apply the skills you have, but actually go to people and say, I want to do this, you know.
Mm.
And that requires an awful lot of authenticity, because we don't want to lose face and we don't want to face rejection. But I still till this day will meet people and say, oh, you know what, I'd really like to do that, can I do it? And then they'd be like, what, really, we didn't think you'd like to do it, come, of course, let's do it. So I think it opens more doors when you're authentic and you're able to know what you want, and look at the opportunities that are around you and really like go for it. You know what I mean? Whether it's your connections on LinkedIn, dropping a line. I mean, it sounds so old school, but it's so true. Even, okay, fine, slide into the DMs in a non-sleazy way. If somebody you look up to and say, is there someone you can put me into contact with? Because I would like to explore this. What can you lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I would say, to people out there that are struggling, don't just struggle alone. Like, opening yourself up and saying, look, I need some help. Can anyone put me in touch with such and such and such, goes a long way. You would never imagine, the amount of things that I've gotten just from saying to someone like, I need a bit of help, I need this contact with this person. And even if that person doesn't give you what you're looking for and they can't help you, somehow or another, it's going to link to somebody who will. That's just the way it works. So
Mhm.
I would say, have, the pride thing, put the pride aside, not dignity. Keep dignity. Always keep dignity, but put the pride aside. Because people are confusing pride and dignity nowadays. It's like, hmm. So always have dignity, but put aside the pride.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Powerful
Yeah,
stuff.
I like that very much, Sarima, and I think being relevant to what Awesomebility is about, personal branding, and authority building. People need to understand. You spoke about niche, right? Choosing who are your niche, choosing who are your audience, and how
Yeah.
am I able to contribute to this audience, right? And I think one thing that I would like to add on there is that, being authentic, the market consumer behavior, you can read a lot of reports, McKinsey
Yes.
reports, right? A lot of reports says that consumers are more attracted to brands, especially the founders, right? The founders, when they are able to relate to them. And in the
Yeah.
marketing and branding world also, there is such thing that is called user generated content, right?
Mm.
Where people are more attracted to what's real, what's the reality, what's authentic is, right? And yeah, and it's like putting it out there. Okay, this is who I am, these are my flaws, I am being authentic,
Yeah.
this is my flaws, this is my weakness, this is what you can expect from me, this is what you are not going to expect from me. So
Yes.
yeah.
But you see, because like reality shows, for example, kind of supposedly set us off into that journey, but they were anything but, because they were not reality. They were obviously and clearly scripted. So I think, myself included, we're all a bit wiser now. And that's why I mentioned much earlier, what sometimes looks like substance online is not. It's still superfluous, and it's still, I mean, what is genuine authenticity now? That's the question. Sharing doesn't mean authentic. Okay. Sharing does not necessarily mean authenticity. We're confusing that because we've come from a culture of non-sharing. So because this is so exciting that everyone's sharing things, we believe it all to be authentic. Um, a lot of it is, but we still need to be a bit more careful about what we believe, what's put out there. And if you want to succeed, like you mentioned, Nini, focus on your niche. um, Make the connections. Authenticity does not always require sharing. That's another thing I want to say to close this up. Authenticity can just be what you're doing. Your actions can show your authenticity. It's not all about sharing your journey. Sometimes having a little bit of mystery also works for some brands. But showing up authentic and pacing yourself is, I think, the more important thing, so that you don't burn out. Because ultimately what we want is that we want that legacy, right? We want the brand legacy, we want our family legacy, and that requires pacing, and it requires knowing where your limits are. People always say, push the limits, push the boundaries, and that's not necessarily workable.
Mm.
You may achieve, like I said, out of the top three. You might win or you might be placed, but will you last long and finish the race? Not sure. You can only push so much, you know? So it's about pacing yourself, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, I would say. Yeah.
So
And then it's up to the
yeah,
audience. It still comes down to the audience. When you're a brand, it comes down to the audience. You only have a certain amount of control, and you make a decision, like we talked about today. I made a decision about how I'm going to rebuild myself, rebrand myself, present myself, but ultimately it's still the audience. And whether or not a society is able to accept what you're offering them also is another question. Because for example, to close this off, like when I did my single in 2001, Kini Kau Tiada, people were like, not sure about this song, because in the market that time, it was all the Chindai and the love songs, which I love too. But now everybody likes the song. I'm like, it's 20 something years later, you guys. So sometimes it's timing too. You can have your niche, you can rebrand, you can know your strengths, your weaknesses, you can pace yourself, you can target your audience, you can present yourself authentically, but the timing's not right.
Mm. Perfect. Perfect. Maybe a last one before we go, Sarimah. Let's talk about what's next for you. How what's your next project? What's going on with you after this, right? Yeah, maybe you can let us know about your upcoming projects.
Yes, well, on the mental health aspect of things, I'm working closely with an association called the Being Me Malaysia, Being Me My. And basically, it's a group of empowering women. It's not religious focused only, it is for open to all women. And we are going to be doing a workshop in January. So I would like to invite everybody to follow my social medias for info on that. And the workshop will be including speakers who are going to share about how to empower yourself, and as a mother, as a woman, as a human being on this planet Earth right now, and how we can help each other, and share some tips, and feel a sense of belonging and connection. And as I mentioned, I'm hosting Festival Film Malaysia. That's going to be on the 2nd of December, live on TV. We're going to actually do it in Malacca. It's quite interesting. I've never gone to Malacca to do a live show. This is quite bizarre. So always doing new things. And I will be hosting that, I believe, with Awal Ashari. So that's lovely. And the following month, I will be doing the first ever Anugerah Icon Sukan Malaysia, which we've never had. So that's lovely because sports is my thing. So I can't wait to meet all of our wonderful athletes. So these are the closer things, and next year there are a lot of things in the pipeline, but I don't want to mention it just yet. I want to get the dotted line signed.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff.
Oh, I
Okay.
forgot. I'm doing a cameo in it's an Astro original. I finally got to act with Dr. Rosham Noor. I did it last month. So I had this
Nice.
role where I have to play a TV host. And I had to sit right in front of Dr. Rosham Noor. So I was quite nervous because, he's known to be a bit like, in your face. But I acted with him in 2003 and we sat this close to each other for 2 or 3 scenes. And that was pretty intense, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So that's coming out soon. So that is a very fun cameo that I had to do, and I'm also going to do something else that involves acting, but not too big, but
Mhm.
a smaller role. But that's coming out soon, next year.
Good stuff. Right. With that, Nini, passing this to you. Let's close this. Right.
All right. I think, right, Sarima, it has been a great conversation. Did manage to ask my question that I wanted to ask you on screen because I think more people would be able to benefit from it, right? And thank you for saying yes. And of course, people, if you're watching this, if you feel that you have receive any form of value that would help you with your personal brand, and if you feel that you would like to connect with us, you are able to do so. There is a Telegram group that you are able to join. Actually, there is a personal brand discovery worksheet that we are giving out for free, where once you join our Telegram group, there is an instruction how you are able to redeem that. That's all. I think another thing that I would like to announce, do save the date because we will be having a fully subsidized program happening on the 3rd of December. That is Awesomebility Level 1. I am excited for that because we will be working together with three industry leaders. We will be announcing who the industry leaders are soon. In when I say industry leaders in the branding and as well as authority building world, right? So yeah, do come and join us. Save the date, and we will be launching the registration very very soon. And see you on episode 11 next week. We have another very exciting guest. I'm not going to announce it now, but you will be able to find it as we launch the event page on LinkedIn. All right. Passing over to you, Adelina.
Okay, yeah. So if you join us on our Awesomebility Circle, which is on Telegram, not only will you be able to get your free download, which is the personal brand worksheet, right, the discovery worksheet, but also you'll be receiving lots of information about personal branding, authority building. We try to put as much value as we can in there, and you'll also be the first to know of all of the activities or the programs that comes with Awesomebility. So be sure to join. You get a freebie right away, and you'll also have value coming in. And I hope that everybody got a lot of value from today's conversation with our guests. We talked about impactful advocacy through personal branding and so much more than that. We talked about how you can evolve with your personal brand, and nothing is set in stone. At any time through your growth, you can also have your personal brand reflect that and connect with more people. So I think that's beautiful, beautiful sharing. I really enjoyed the conversation today. There's just so much of behind the scenes also of the evolution. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
So
true. Thank
that's
you.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. And thank you so much for your advocacy on mental health. I think it's very important. Um, and a lot of people are not aware that they are in that position also,
Yeah,
experiencing mental health. So
yeah. People are
would also be really
suffering
good.
and realize what it
Yep.
is.
Awesome job, Sarima.
Do
Yeah.
you want to
So
do
you're
it?
doing
I want to do a photo. Let's do it. Can you guys do a snapshot and share it with me?
Can.
I'll do a snapshot right now. Okay. 1, 2, 3, smile. I'll send it to you after this. Okay.
All
nice.
right. Have a
So
great day.
Okay. So, by
Yes.
the way, let's end this. It's already like 2:05. Thank you everyone
Yes.
for being here. Thank you, Sarimah, for being here. I'm starstruck, right? I'm like still getting a lot from you today. And guys, we'll see you again next week, same time. Right? Until then, stay awesome. Bye.
Bye. See you guys.
Bye.